craft, we're going to be taking a large pizza pan from the Dollar Tree, a metal welcome word sign from the Dollar Tree, some boxwood greenery from Hobby Lobby, and then some greenery from the Dollar Tree. And by the way, these red peonies are my favorite that they had come out this season. They are so beautiful. I've been using them very sparingly, and they are going to be used on this, and I always am so reluctant anytime I ever get them out because I just think, oh, I'm going to run out, and they're like my favorite. So here I am with my Crop-A-Dile. You saw me punching some holes. I love the Crop-A-Dile tool just because it goes through metal. And once I had those holes all in place where I needed them to, I took out the metal word and the pizza pan outside, and I spray painted them both to make it look nice and high end. And then once I was done with that, I'm going to take some of the garland. I took 2 long strands that would make that curve long enough, and then I zip tied them right to the pan. This is going to make sure that nothing falls off because friends, I don't trust hot glue on metal. It's just always going to come off. I really like things to look high end and not fall apart when you put them out, especially on your front door. So once I've got that on, I ended up gluing in the berries, some of the boxwood. It's really amazing how when you put on these boxwood stems with that garland greenery from the Dollar Tree, how it just really elevates the look of it. I really love combining different greeneries like that. I think it looks so beautiful. Now I'm taking a ribbon and I'm cutting the tails, and I'm just gluing those down into place, and then I'm going to add on my bow and glue all that down, fluff it out the way that you want it to look, and then I'm going to take some of those red peonies and I'm going to glue 2 of them down lower and then 1 up higher in around the bow, because we're going to add 1 more bow on top of this tan bow. So once you've got all of those glued into place, I'm going to move on, let all that dry for a second, and move on to the word welcome for the front of our sign or our wreath that we're making. And I'm just going to add in some E6000. That's going to really hold it down, and then that hot glue is going to just keep it in place while it continues to dry. Now I wanted to rough up the edges just a little bit because I did like that it had that metally shiny look coming through that gray spray paint. So now I'm going in with some E6000, and you don't have to do this part if glitter is not your thing, but I thought it looked like frost on the pan. I thought this made it look really cute, and it took it from it looking like a pizza pan to looking more like an intentional home decor piece. So I added on some E6000. I'm adding on lots of glitter just so it makes sure it catches all over, and I'm tapping it down to make sure it's just really worked in there. And then I'm going to shake it all off. And then once that's all drying, I went ahead and got 1 more bow that was a gingham bow to add right in the middle. This next project is going to be using 2 foam squares and these 4 adorable wood cutout signs. Now these are meant for outside in your garden, but truly friends, I would not put these out in the rain or the snow because after a while they do fall apart. But we're going to make an adorable, whimsical, high-end, expensive looking door wreath. And it's really more like a door sign because you'll see it's not round like a wreath, but regardless. So you can see that I popped off all 3 of the snowman, the elf, and the reindeer, and I'm going to take an extra one of those sticks, and I'm going to just glue 2 of them together to get the length that we need, use 2 zip ties to secure it even more, and then with my butter knife that I keep in my craft room, I'm just cutting those foam squares in half. Then I'm going to take some hot glue and glue those 3 foam squares down really securely onto those sticks that came off of the other signs. Now at this point you can use whatever florals or greenery picks you want. I had these really beautiful red peonies that I wanted to put on because I loved the texture. I just thought they looked so pretty, and I went around the sides of the foam. Now I'm going to take my cute little signs and I'm going to start gluing those, kind of zigzagging them back and forth. And the reason why I did the snowman second and the reindeer third is because I didn't want the red and the red on the hats of the reindeer and Santa to be too close to each other. I wanted to mix it up to have that black in between and have the stripe on the bottom. Now I'm going to take some of this green mesh. I cut out a long strip, folded it in half, and then did a simple
knot. I just looped around my finger and pulled it through. This makes it look like a bow without going through the efforts of struggling with making a bow with these things. I feel like the mesh netting stuff is so tricky to work with. The sides kind of stick to each other, so I like doing it this way, and you get the volume of a bow without all the effort. Now I'm going to just simply glue 3 of those in place to add in some fun color. And I'm going to do that same technique with the bow where I just fold it in half, tie a knot with this glitter ribbon. Beware, this stuff is a mess from this glitter ribbon. It like blew up glitter everywhere. You can see right below, but it's so pretty and it adds that pizzazz and sparkle to this front door wreath that we're making. So I decided to go with it. You can avoid this one if you don't like glitter. You can use a different ribbon if you would like. So I'm going to just add those ribbons on the sides, and now I'm going to come in with these red berries and fill them in even more, adding some more texture and just more dimension to this beautiful home decor piece. This is just such an easy, fun project, and it really just has such a wow statement on a door. So once you've got all those berries popped into place, I'm going to add a little country charm and add on this gingham bow at the top and the bottom, making sure I add in some more of that cute texture for Christmas. And then on the back, I'm going to just simply flip it over, take some twine to create a hook so that I can hang it up on my door. And that's it. It's ready to be displayed. You're going to be using this glass vase, a terracotta pot, and one of these LED battery operated candle lights. Start by taking some white paint and put a coat over your terracotta pot. This dries pretty quickly, but if you're having an issue with it drying or taking too long, you can use a heat gun. I love using my heat gun because not only does it dry paint really quickly, it also helps me take off those stickers once you heat up the adhesive on the stickers. Now I'm going to take my E6000 and I'm going to take my hot glue for a long-term, short-term hold. The hot glue locks it in place quickly while that E6000 takes time to dry. Now don't forget to flip it over because there is a hole on that terracotta pot and that glue will want to come out onto your craft table and make a giant mess. So once I got that bottom on, I flipped it over and let it dry for a little bit. Now I'm just adding some greenery and some berry garland because I just think that that's so pretty for Christmas. You can honestly just put a bow if you want to with a ribbon, whatever you would like at this point. It's so many different possibilities that you have to create and decorate this. Now I'm going to also add on these 3 darling little berries, and then for my candle, I'm going to add some hot glue to the bottom base, go down in there with my pliers to make sure it doesn't flip over on accident, and kind of guide it in and glue it into place. This is going to allow you to have that base in there nice and secure. It also cleans up the inside of the glass so you don't see that terracotta in there on the glass, because you can see that it's clear see-through. So now I'm going to come in with some brown paint, give it a little bit of a rustic charm look with some distressing, add on a ticking stripe bow, and I'm just going to pop that right underneath the berries because I just think that is so darling. And at this point, it's ready to light up and put on a table.
We are going to be making a nativity using these supplies from the Dollar Tree. One of these ultra trendy homes, I have a whole bunch of them on hand, a wood bead, a wood star, some craft sticks, a piece of fabric, and it's about 4 by 4 in size, and then some scrapbook paper. Go ahead and trace your house's size onto the scrapbook paper and cut it out. Now when you trace along the back, you are going to still have to kind of take down the sides little by little. I like to just take it a little bit at a time, and then if you just happen to make a mistake where it's too small, you can cut out some small strips just like you're seeing here. I already glued those down so you don't see that paper underneath it. It won't matter because we're going to put all kinds of other stuff in there, but you just don't want to see those stripes. Glue that paper down in there, and now we're going to work on the roof. I went ahead and cut an angle on the first craft stick, and now I'm going to line those up. And normally a lot of people would cut right down the middle for the second stick, but I decided to go on the other side so that it has a nice sturdy hold between these two craft sticks. I'm going to add that glue, and then I'm going to bring those two pieces back together, and you're going to see that they're overlapped with a triangle type shape in the middle. This is going to help make it stronger and have a higher quality look to it. Once I've got those glued together, I'm going to go ahead and add that to the top of my nativity, and I'm going to go ahead and just glue it in right at the middle of those craft sticks. I want to make sure it's overhanging a little bit into this area and over the top of the roof. And I also decided to go ahead and cut down those sticks. I'm just doing a straight line on the sides, but you could also do angled. Add lots of hot glue and then just pop that right on there. This project is so easy. I was just moving along. My only recommendation I would say is make sure you're using old scissors on your craft sticks so that way you don't destroy them, because craft sticks with scissors will destroy them. Now I'm going to put some glitter on that wood star I showed earlier. I'm just going to use hot glue because it's going to dry quick and it'll look great. I did one side and then did the other side, and then I decided to come in with a different glitter. I love a beautiful vintage glitter. I get all of my glitter typically at Michael's or Joann's, and I always just go with those coupons that they have in the stores. So I'm also going around the edges of the outside of the star, and it really just makes it pop. You'll see at the very end how these two different glitters together give it such a beautiful, cute boutique Christmas look. Go ahead and glue that in the middle. And now I'm going to come back in with some more scrapbook paper. I love adding pattern on pattern, and I really wanted to bring in a lighter tan color, so I'm going to add in some more paper that has text on it. Now for the painting, I wanted to do a water stain, but I didn't want to have to get out a whole bunch of stuff. I happen to have a spray bottle next to my desk. This is the quickest, easiest way to make a stain. You spray your surface with a little bit of water, not too crazy, and then you come in with a little bit of paint. I like to dry brush with the spray water, if that makes sense. It stained it nicely, and now at the top, once that was all dry, I went ahead and added some Spanish moss to the top, and now we're going to make the cradle for baby Jesus. I am going to just simply cut off one of those rounded edges of the craft stick and then cut another piece. I think it's about 2.5 inches, I would say. Maybe a little bit more. But you just kind of play with the size for your house that you have on hand. I'm going to cut 2 of the same pieces, and then these rounded edges that we have left over, that's going to become the legs of the cradle. And I will say, take your time cutting these because the craft sticks do want to splinter sometimes. So basically I'm going to take my scissors and cut almost like a Pac-Man mouth or like a little triangle that is, you know, going into the curved part, the end of the stick. And then I'm going to just put some glue and hold that one side on, put some glue on the other side, hold that side, and then I'm going to bring on the other side of the cradle. This is like the easiest project. It just really just takes the time just sitting there and having fun. Put on a show, put on some Christmas music, and you can make yourself the cutest, easiest nativity scene. So now at this point you can see I've made this cute, darling, sweet little cradle. I'm going to glue that into the floor of this little house, and then I'm going to add in
some more Spanish moss on the floor, just like you would see in a barn. Glue that all around the bottom of it. And then I decided to come in with a different texture. I'm going to use some raffia for the inside of the cradle. But first, let's work on baby Jesus. So go ahead and take that wood bead in the fabric. You can see that I folded down one of those corners and I added some glue, and I'm going to wrap that around the bead. This really has no rhyme or reason. You're basically like folding a burrito. If you've ever folded a burrito, you'll be successful at this part. If you haven't folded a burrito, I'm going to show all of these steps. So you can see that I'm kind of pulling the fabric down on the sides, and now I'm going to pull it up from the bottom of that triangle. I'm just going to put some glue, flap it up twice, and that's because I want to build up the fabric in the middle so I can make, you know, little baby Jesus's body inside this little cloth. So I'm just kind of wrapping it up, adding some glue, pulling it tight, and then once I've got one side done, I'm going to pull it tight over on the other side and just keep playing with the beads. So I like the way the fabric is laying, and then wrapping it nice and tight around the beads so all you see is just the little face of baby Jesus. And then once you've got it to where you like its look, take your hot glue and glue that last bit of the fabric down. Any fibers that you might have hanging out or hanging over, go ahead and trim those off. Going back to that raffia I mentioned earlier, I just cut off some from a grass skirt. I buy the grass skirts at the Dollar Tree, and it is super affordable and actually great to work with because it's on a string, so the raffia is not going crazy when you're trying to pull it out of the bag. I've bought bags of raffia before in the past, and when you pull one thing out, it just blows up everywhere. I actually really love working with the grass skirts. So I cut up some pieces of that, glued that down into the little cradle, added in baby Jesus, and at this point it's so sweet and so simple. What a fun craft to try. I hope you'll give it a try.